That's a good question, actually.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Well, if we compare Greywater with Blackwater, yeah. The question asked if it will be kept for more than 24 hours. Yeah.
How does this, like, what was your inspiration and how do you feel about the accomplishments you had so far?
Okay, actually, more than 3 years ago, I followed Datuk Sri Zaini Ujang for 1 year. And every Saturday, I'm staying in Melawati. It's a bit far, but I persistently joined and I replicated the program in Melawati. Reverse mainly under GPS or DID. If it is under the GPS, then of course we talk to them, we feedback to them. But if it is in the PBT, local authority, usually in townships, that is under the local authority, Majlis Daerah, Majlis Perbandaran of that locality.
Fish. Kalau kita dapat, kita tangkap ke? Kalau kita tangkap,
Hello everyone, let's start our session now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mariam and I'm a chemical engineering student at UCSI, and I will be your moderator for today's talk. So today we would like to start by introducing our honorable guests, speaker, Mr. Haji Mansor Ghani, and he is the Deputy Honorary Secretary of Friends of Rivers Malaysia, and Professor Dr. Mohd Razman bin Salim, Professor at the Faculty of Engineering, Technology and Built Environment in UCSI. The talk is brought to you today by Green Up Project in our inaugural launch of Awareness Talk series. These series of talks aim to introduce our environment and learn more about it, and together we'll play our part in caring for our one and only planet, Earth, starting from home. Green Up Project is one of the environmental clubs under UCSI's Scholar Enrichment Program. I will talk to you about my thesis. And my thesis is basically to synthesize photocatalyst, zinc oxide, and nitrogen-doped zinc oxide to degrade dieffluent chemicals. And when they are washed away during the manufacturing, they create, or they are a part of the dieffluent, and they get to be released into the environment. And you know what will happen? It will block the sunlight, and basically the plants will not be able to photosynthesize. When you don't have photosynthesis, your oxygen levels will reduce. Never throw your oil in. Never throw your your solid waste into the sink.
Removal bioreactor. But other than that, you can also use other type of reactors, such as sequencing batch reactor. We can use activated sludge. We can use biofilter. There's a lot of secondary treatment process that we can use in order to remove the organic matter. So lastly, I think what I would like to call upon all of you is that I think Mohammed has also stated that we need a volunteer. We need members that come from you all to serve either in the community, in the NGO. There are a lot of NGO. Here I just list an example of Malaysian Water Association that look into the water process, and Malaysian Society of Wastewater Management and Environment that look more on the waste management.
A very good afternoon to everybody. So I'm from Friends of Rivers Malaysia, an NGO that's trying to promote public participation in river rehabilitation. What we mean by river rehabilitation is that our urbanized rivers are actually polluted generally. So, and one of the main sources of pollution is greywater or silage. Friends of Rivers have come up with an approach on how public can participate in taking care of our rivers. We are going to talk more about the greywater, not so much on the rubbish. It is a problem, but the greywater that we are actually producing, we have a system to take care of this greywater, but unfortunately, somehow it leaks out from that system, the sewerage system that we have here. Yeah, that's usually due to land clearing and all that. We are more focusing on our silage or greywater problem, which contributes to about 40 to 70% of our pollution. That this river actually is a class 5. Class 5 means it's a worst river condition you can get. This is another example where you can see that the houses, usually they have extended the house. Usually the kitchen sink and whatever, the bathroom and all that goes into the sewerage system. But in this case, when people extend their houses, they will just conveniently put up a pipe from the sink and it goes into and discharge into the drain. Are supposed to go into the brown line, the foul sewer line. But people, when they do their kitchen and all that, they modify it, they modify their houses, they extend it, and they have their washing machine, they will put it outside the house and they will discharge to the open drain conveniently. This is a very common situation now, graphically shown here that we have the river in Kuala Lumpur and the greywater and the trade effluence from restaurants especially goes direct into the river through the drainage system rather into the sewerage system and river economy actually. So you can see in overseas, they have utilized the river as a riverfront area and thus increase the economic value of all the adjacent properties. So where are we now? So most of us are still here, rhetoric, meaning we just talking about pollution and all that, and at the same time blaming. We have to go into public participation because pollution is the responsibility of everybody. We can do urban gardening, we can do picnic and for socializing. So what we need to do is we plan all this and we are moving up to become our habit and then our behavior and get into our culture and to the DNA. The Japanese have got that in their DNA. So we have platforms like in our Facebook, yeah? So there you can find Friends of Langat River, Friends of Rivers Malaysia, Friends of Sungai Klang. You just type Friends of Rivers, you can get a few sites that you can follow the activities that's being done. And for the rest of the country, we have Friends of Rivers core group in Kedah, all the states in Malaysia. We have to also extend it to Sabah and Sarawak. We are yet to do that. So we would like to see our rivers to be in this condition, yeah? A nice place for people to really go there and enjoy the ambience and keeping the rivers clean. So what is important is that the awareness that we want to build to every one of us by going to the river and be close to the river and understand its importance. Okay, okay, right. It used to be nice. Probably it was taken care of maybe by a community, but sometime after that, maybe there's not much drive or, for whatever reason, people stop taking care of it. And anyway, the dirt may come from the household. It looks like we have oil and that kind of stuff, right? The one that I showed a picture of the back, at the back of the houses, row of houses there, probably a link house or terrace house. They're discharging their wastewater, we call it greywater or silage, into their drain. And the drain will always go to the river, or in this case, it goes to a pond. Okay, the pond also collects water from the surrounding areas. The pond is always the lowest point. The river is always the lowest point, the pond, and then the bigger river, that will be the lowest of all. So through that water system, this dirt from the household will get into the ponds. That's the issue there. Taking care of that pond, if there's some awareness program, in for the community, probably they will stop doing discharging oil and silage into their drains, which end up into the lake. So that's probably the situation. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Razman, do you have anything to share about our case study?
I think one of the issues here is basically how we look into this in proper perspective. If you look at the river system or any lake in Malaysia, basically, the river is at the backyard of our house actually. So when it is outside, it will be out of mind. Nobody sometimes care about how the river is. They just throw what they want, even the silage, even trash, I think, into the water bodies or rivers, because it's out of their sight. It's at the backyard. So they are not so quite concerned about it. If it is in the, we then see how it's very dirty and unaesthetic if we stay in front of the river. So
how did you guys come to form Friends of River? And allow me to direct this to you first, Mr. Mansor, and ask you, how did you come to join there, or maybe found it, and how does this, like, what was your inspiration, and how do you feel about the accomplishments you had so far?
Okay, actually, more than 3 years ago, I followed Datuk Sri Zaini Ujang, who is currently the Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air, the Environment and Water Ministry. He started it by the one that I showed you, where we gathered at his house, and he started to plan an area near University Kebangsaan Malaysia in Bangi, and we went there every week. We did the consistency. So I was joining him for 1 year, and every Saturday I'm staying in Melawati. It's a bit far, but I persistently join and do some voluntary work there to clear up the area. We remove tons of trash there, with the help of the local authority. They have put a bin there, a big bin, row bin, and we remove a lot of trash from the area, the one that I showed. And after a while, then we have cleared out the place, and we started to plant trees, fruit trees, and so on, and creating trails. So with that 1 year experience, I replicated the program in Melawati. The community must spearhead the activities, not the government. Before this, it has been the government trying to do a lot, like from Jabatan Parit Tahi, DID, Drainage Irrigation Department. They have been trying to, but they got their own constraints, because they are government servants. But public comes available in the weekends, so it's not easy to do it on the weekdays, right? So it's either a Saturday or Sunday. So it's only that the public can drive this program, and the government can support, and that's happening in Selangor. The government is supporting.
The thing that we see here is that we, as a citizen, we need to be consulted in our effort, commit ourselves. One of the things, I say, although I'm not really involved in the river or front of the river, but I'm involved much in the waste management, whereby I have a site as well that look into waste management, where we go to the residents and have a resident association that do something for the residential areas, whereby they actually have a composting area. They have the recycling of garbage and refuse at that area that helps the community for that residential area. So we can see one of the things that actually inspired me is that how once they realize the importance of sustainable environment, they commit themselves to do that. And that's what Haji Mansor said, how he perseveres and commit continuously week after week doing the thing that he loves most down for his for the community, that is for the friends of the river. And you can see how Sungai Kelang has evolved from what it used to be to what is now. So here we can see that it all depends on us.
Landfills are traditionally a place where the local council selects and dump the rubbish from the household or anywhere else without any proper system. So we get leachate that oozes out from the rubbish when the rain falls on top of it, and these are very, very highly polluting liquid that comes out, and it will flow into the drain, and later on land gets into the river. And there are few cases in Semenyih where some government landfill actually, without the proper system, or the wastewater or the leachate water treatment plant is probably not functioning or overflowed during a very heavy storm. So you got a lot of excess water in the form of leachate that pollutes the river. So I think the government is actually trying to handle that part and put a proper treatment just about a few years ago. So they are getting more serious about taking care of that. So that's the leachate problem. But modern leachate or dump sites that they have a proper lining and all that, that the leachate will not go out into the waterways. So those modern ones are much better actually. But the older ones have to be, they have to create a drainage system around the dump site or landfill, and they will take that water, the leachate water, into a treatment plant. So the government is actually working on that at the moment, as I see it.
The landfill itself, because we need to differentiate between landfill or what we call sanitary landfill and open dump. So if the landfill is just like an open dump where there's no level of security, whereby they can actually, as what you say, cover the bottom with lining and then have other manifolds or drain that would drain the leachate that comes out from the landfill into a proper treatment facilities, it would definitely pollute the water bodies. So if this is a dump site, but if the landfill is a sanitary landfill, that have, when we talk about sanitary landfill, it has 4 levels. So the topmost level is where you have all those complete measures such as treatment of the leachate, you have a treatment facilities, and the treatment as well of the tapping the gas itself, because in landfill, one of the problems is methane as well, methane production. And if we have a treatment of gas collection, we can actually tap the gas, the methane, and use it actually for energy. If it's only an open dump well, our water body will be polluted. And because one of the things, leachate is water that is actually very high in the pollutants. It could be heavy metal, it could be anything, because we dump everything in our dump site. Although it is a municipal landfill site, yet sometimes the industry as well, like hazardous waste or anything, goes into the landfill, and if it is not properly kept or not properly implemented, it would actually result in all those hazardous matter to go into our water bodies and pollute the water bodies. And one thing we realize that when you go to the water bodies, it will definitely go to the ocean, and it would affect all the systems of the water from the rivers to the ocean.
Rivers mainly under GPS or DID, Drainage Irrigation Department. They are not river authority actually, but they take care of a river to a certain extent. They are not the enforcer, but here we are talking about physical solid waste, or we call it gross pollutants that got stuck in rivers. So if it is under the GPS, then of course we talk to them, we feedback to them. But if it is in the PBT, local authority, usually in townships, that is under the local authority, Majlis Daerah, Majlis Perbandaran of that locality.
That's a good question, actually.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Well, if you compare Greywater with Blackwater, yeah, the question asked if it will be kept for more than 24 hours, yeah, due to the biodegradation, because there are some organic as well in the Greywater. So basically, when it is left for more than 24 hours, surely the biodegradation will occur, where the microbes in the water itself would then react and produce a lot of other matters that could actually increase not only the organic but as well as the bacteria in the water itself. Because we know that when we talk about bacteria, how they live, they are reproducing binarily. So in some it will be 2, 4, 16, all those things. So if you keep it more than 24 hours, it will be multiplied to such an extent that there will be a lot of bacteria in the Greywater. That's the reason we do not keep it more than 24 hours. It would be best to use it after we store it for irrigation or watering purposes.
Okay. I better answer that.
Absolutely.
LUAS is a Lembaga Urus Air Selangor. It is a body created by the state government of Selangor. The generic name for that particular organization is called Baksa Badan Kawal Selia Air Negeri. So generic. Some states like Negeri Sembilan Melaka, they use Baksa. Baksa Melaka, Baksa Negeri Sembilan, Baksa Pulau Pinang. Kedah, they have a different name, but it comes from that same category of regulatory water resource body or agency that can enforce laws under the state law for water resources. So for LUAS, we have the LUAS enactment. So there's a law about pollution, about taking water. So they handle that part. The JPS, Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran, is equivalent to DID, Department of Irrigation and Drainage. They handle the physical operations and maintenance of rivers and irrigation system usually for paddy fields. So they also handle matters regarding flood control and that. So they are more functional in operations, DID or JPS. LUAS is the regulatory body. So if you want to say, you want to use the analogy of JKR or PWD, Public Works Department or Jabatan Kerja Raya, they take care of the roads, maintenance of road, yeah, street lights and all that, the structure, resurfacing, or even building new roads, right? But yes, we have the JPJ, or the police is a enforcement agency, making sure that people follow the law. So JKR cannot enforce laws pertaining to roads, but they take care of the physical road. So similar to DID, they take care of the river, but LUAS handles the enforcement part and the charges, and people take water from the rivers or from the groundwater. There are certain charges, and each state have their own charge rate. They are different because they are controlled by the state government. They have engaged with many universities, and many universities are participating in our Friends of Rivers program.
Yes.
UKM, UTM, USM, I believe so. So yeah, we got them into the circuit, into the network, and they do send students, and participate in these programs. Some are very, very consistent, like UTM of Semarak, Kuala Lumpur. They have a site in Sungai Bunus, so they usually go there. So they have a very specific site. UKM Bangi also has one, the place that I told you about that I started with 3 years ago, and some other universities are doing that. So it's a good thing that UIA has their own site in their own compound. They have a river there running through that UIA campus. UM also has one. They have their group also. So it's nice to have the universities taking part, and I think UCSI is also very active with us.
Excellent.
and some other Taylor's College, they do come before the PKP, MCO. They come very often, and where the students they're having their how many hours of social whatever you call it, welfare participation or something like that. So they go to the River is one of their locations where they do some community work, community participation.
And then we will also take this opportunity to thank members of UCSI. For example, Trust University, Mrs. Shannon, Points Accreditation Departments, our Awareness Talk Series team and Case Study Media Contributor, Mr. Jovian Lee. We also would like to thank some of our members because I actually did today that presentation, but many of our Green Up members have contributed a lot to this event to make it happen this way that it did. This may include Ryan Pong, Chen Wen Yen, who's also our leader, excellent president for us, Sellen Ang, Michelle, Ryan Robert, Chai Pei Yen, and Lim Kim Guan. So I would like to thank them all